so there's a big live thing in the box. I'm Lacey. Welcome to the Wise Power Hour. Wise is here to meet you in whatever stage of business you're in, whether you're in the idea forming stage and you need to know what to do with this awesome, amazing idea you have, or you've been in business 10 plus years going strong and looking to take it to the next level. We've got you covered through our cornerstone programs, workshops, or one-on-one business coaching. Today, Power Hour, we're talking about key collaborations or partnerships or alliances or whatever term we want to stick in there with Andrea Tancredi, who owns Thrive with 4C. A management coach. She really teaches us how to put in play the possibilities that we see and how to bring them into reality through actions and intention, and to help everyone become as excited about going to work because they're fulfilled and have purpose and all this amazing gooey richness that life has to offer. So, Andrea, do you want to say hi real quick?
Hi, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
I know. We had an awesome conversation earlier. So we're just going to dive right in if that's cool with you.
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. So earlier you had said that we're all part of an ecosystem, and we weren't talking about the bogs and rainforests from 7th grade. So can you tell us a little bit about what you meant by that?
Sure. Well, practically we are our own ecosystem, from our emotions and our thoughts to our actions. It's all connected. But when we get out into the marketplace and in business, there is an ecosystem there that for the most part we leave untapped until we realize, oh, maybe there's some possibility here for me. So when I'm talking about the business ecosystem, I'm talking about like-minded folks, other business owners who offer services and products or experiences, maybe like you do, or who have similar ideal clients that you do that you can connect with. I think it's the myth to think that we're separate. And I think it's one of those things that makes us brave into going into business for ourselves, is that I can do this for myself. And you have to create that idea of separation, to leave a big company, to leave a job, to do something new. But our success really lies in our connectedness as we go forward, in our community and with the internet. I mean, it's everywhere. You can find your people anywhere.
Right. It's especially COVID has been detrimental and painful in so many ways. There's also been some positivity to it, and the connection across the globe has gotten so much stronger because it drove us all to go out into different avenues and areas. I love that success is in connection, and that can be really hard when we're solopreneurs, especially. One fear that I had a lot when I heard about collaborating with other people, my own business, I own Full Bodied Health, a nutrition company currently based in Syracuse, was, well, what if I give business away? What if my clients leave? What if I'm not good enough? What if I can't keep them? What if instead of a collaboration, it turns into like this waterfall of giving away my revenue and clients?
Right. And that's a real fear. I think we all have it. But my recommendation isn't to stay in that fear for long. It's a place of scarcity, and it's going to shut us down. We need that energy to do the bold, brave things that we're doing in our businesses and making the impact that we want to make. So when you start to worry about giving things away, you are also closing down the opportunity for you to receive things, and those opportunities in the world around you. I think a lot of that is triggered by the fear, and a fear of failure. And we were talking earlier about that, that fear of failure is super demotivating, right? It makes us want to put up our armor up, put our defenses up, and protect ourselves. And if we come at it from a place of grace and generosity, and I'm going to say grace for ourselves, because instead of that fear of failure, what if we pivoted and said, let's expect failure? I expect failure at least 9 times out of 10. I'm going to ask for something and I'm not going to receive it. And so when you get that no, you are able to go, check, yay, 1 down, 8 to go. Excellent. You can start to game how you look at it. And that grace, expecting yourself to learn, is how we're going to grow. Is definitely how we're going to grow. And if you're feeling a mistake or the pain, um, that a favorite quote of mine is from Jerry Seinfeld, and he says, "Pain is knowledge rushing in to fill a gap," and there's so much power to that word, those words. We put ourselves out there, and now we've learned, and what we choose to do with it is on us. But staying in the game, you're going to be the reason you go out of business. You'll stop trying. And if you keep trying and adapting and flexing, your possibilities are unlimited. Your business may change and pivot. It may not be what you set out to create, but by staying engaged, you are living into that potential.
Yeah, you had said earlier, opportunities are not finite. Oftentimes, though, we just don't
Uh-huh.
know what they look like or how to look for them. And we're going to get into that, how to look for them and the different types of collaborations in a hot minute. But that whole trying piece, because not everyone that we think is going to be this amazing collaboration is going to feel the same way about us.
No, no, not necessarily. And so I would encourage you to go first. Figure out what you want and approach the people you think that you can help and who can help you. There are all those terms. We started with it at the top of the call, that, oh, is this a strategic partnership? I mean, that just reeks of corporate America, or key alliances or key collaborations. At the root, we're just looking for a win-win, right? What could help you and help them, and look for that and listen. And when you do, you're going to find it, because that's how our brains are set to conserve energy left, right, and center. And so when you say, hey, this is what I'm looking for, your brain's going to find it. Just like I have an orange car, and when I bought them, I didn't think there were any orange cars. And I was like, oh, I love this. There are orange cars everywhere, because now I'm looking for them. And the same applies in the business. Like, when you start listening for those opportunities, you're going to find them.
There is I grew up in the mostly the late 80s and 90s, um, old enough to notice things. So I wasn't huge into Michael Jordan's. I didn't understand.
Okay.
But there's a quote when you were talking about the power move of being vulnerable and courageously authentic and going first and to keep trying and trying. A quote popped in my head. And we all hold Michael Jordan this huge esteem. And he had said, I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot, and I missed. I failed over and over and over again in my life. And that's exactly why I succeed, is because he failed once, so he did it again. He failed again, he kept trying, and it was just over and over. And
Right.
to know those numbers, he knows how many games he
That's it.
won, but to know 9,000 shots that counted,
Right.
that's why he succeeded. He kept going. It's just so powerful to me.
Super powerful. Malcolm Gladwell is an author that I enjoy so much. And he talks about building mastery, and that it's going to take 10,000 hours of practice before you can master it. And so I think we live in a culture where there's a lot of instant gratification. You're immediately rewarded for moderate success, but those those gaps that, or as you're building, those rewards come further and further apart, and we aren't necessarily conditioned to stick with it, when there's so many other beautiful distractions in this world that could be drawing us away from it. And so it takes a commitment to your own success. And I frequently ask my clients, I was like, what's more important to you, your comfort or your success? And when you can go, oh, my success is so much more important to me, I can, my success is secondary, or my comfort is secondary to any success I could have for you. I want to be brave. I want to bring up the tough conversation, because maybe that's where the breakthrough lies, and we can have that with ourselves. So you were talking about Michael Jordan quote totally makes me think of resilience, to know that it's going to take trying, falling down, and picking yourself up over and over again to achieve what you can achieve. Um, you, while I, earlier said you're all connected, but to have that perspective to go, oh, this is part of my growth, is to experience these challenges and to push myself. That's where my best is going to actually be revealed.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite topics of earlier, was that mindset. I used to be very mired in perfectionism, so it turned a lot of, oh my God, I made a mistake, and
Mm,
shame and the guilt. And
mhm.
especially working with collaborations and partnerships, I felt like that pressure was really high. You can't make mistakes. You have to be perfect because it impacts someone else, which was a big fear of mine. I don't want to bring anyone else down. And then being able to look at it from this shift. And for me, that shift came from realizing my self-worth. I deserve to grow. I don't deserve to make mistakes. And being able to say, yeah, I could have done this better. Good thing I know now. And we
Right.
can move on.
Yeah, exactly. Let that knowledge come in so that you can adjust to it. Guilt is an okay emotion in my book. I would say steer clear from shame, because it stops being about the behavior and starts being about the person. But in and and you are an amazing person who has a huge impact to make. Don't forget to tell yourself that every day.
Yeah.
So, but if you are worried about letting other people down, I would encourage you to ask yourself, what if they're waiting for me to go first? What if this great thing is never going to be possible until I say, let's try? And one way to give it some safety for you would be through an upfront agreement with the person that you're talking to. Keep your communication very clear. Be, in business coaching, I'm going to use my big business voice now. We talk about SMART goals, and that's being specific and measurable, attainable, realistic, which gets forgotten half the time, and time bound. You're making a very specific goal for yourself. You can attach that kind of framework to whatever proposal you want to make to somebody. You're like, oh, I see a win-win. They I am a DJ at weddings, and here's an event planner, and I would love to get to know this person and support them, because our businesses work hand in hand together. So I wouldn't worry about going first. In fact, I would say just lean into it. Like, understand you're going to be uncomfortable, and then try it. Try something really hard. You'll impress yourself. You'll impress yourself.
As Jen Sincero says in the book, You're a Badass at Making Money, if you don't feel like you're going to pee your pants and throw up at the same time, it's not far enough outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah, I guess. And then that's great advice. That's great advice. It should
It's
it
not for the
should
faint
be
of heart.
It isn't for the faint of heart. I would say that can slow people down. And I would say when you're tackling learning new things, you're going to learn best by having fun. So maybe pick one: throwing up or peeing your pants. Dial it back just a little. And you want the stress of what you're creating to be fun, not a fatal risk that you're going to take. It's not going to take your business out of business to try this, where there are definitely some choices you could make that would. But then keep it stimulating, and give yourself, like, I'm going to try this with 3 people, and I'm going to do it today, and just stop thinking about it. Like, I think my husband loves carpentry. He's Mr. Fix It at our house. And there's a saying, measure twice, cut once.
Yep.
So give yourself that space to think things through. Like, why do I care about it? What could it make a difference for? How am I going to do it? Just frame out your 5, who, what, where, when, why, and how. And just, it's an idea. And then go kick the tires on it. And, I'm going to try this 3 times. I'm going to try this 5 times. This is a goal for, this is something I'm going to try this month every time it presents itself. And your motivation for creating this change for your business is really high. Unfortunately, sometimes we underestimate our ability, or our ability is low because we're learning so much. And so to give yourself frequent prompts for your behavior. And like right now, I'm talking about BJ Fogg's, like, here's a great book, Tiny Habits by BJ Fogg. The behavior, his model for change is motivation, aptitude, your ability, and then your prompt, MAP. And that's how you can game it. We spend a lot of time on this motivation piece, and then it just stays a daydream, or a hallucination. Sometimes we have to actually execute on it. So by knowing yourself, you can create little steps that are not scary, but are taking you in the direction you want to go.
Right. I think that was key what you just said, knowing yourself. So for those who go paralyzed very quickly and won't do anything, then those small steps can absolutely be the way to mitigate that. And then there's, for those of us, myself included, having some of those shifts, it's fun. Like, all right, like you said, let's see if we can impress myself today. And does it always work? Oh, no. But that's how I learn. And let's go quick. Some people prefer not to be so quick and to savor the journey. You know yourself and do what works for you. I really, really like that. So what are some different types of collaborations?
So we could look for those win-wins. In small business, I would say you're going to look in your industry or outside, or intentionally choose to be outside of your industry. And those relationships can be formal or informal. So let's talk about in your industry. You might have a professional organization. You might have other people who do the business that you do, but you are not geographically near each other or in competition. We talked about earlier about that fear of giving away business, and you're going to make mistakes. You may sometimes give away business, but you will sometimes be the recipient of it when somebody else has done the same thing. So give yourself grace. But in your industry, there are ways of building those connections, either for help in your business. You're looking for more of your clients, or on your business. Here are more people who do what I do, and I can watch and listen to them and learn from them as we go. My favorite kind of strategic partnership or win-win is in other small business owners in my community. Like, I am a consumer as much as I am a service provider, and finding other small business owners who love what they do, who love who they serve. It's a joy to get to be in their space when you find them. And so you could join their organizations that help you network outside of your industry. And BNI is one, and I know we have chapters here in Syracuse. There's Polka Dots, who is it's a women's organization for business memberships. So you could choose one. There's a cost to admission. And so that's a great chance to think about what that return on investment would be for you. If I spend this much money, how much business would I have to get back to pay for that opportunity? When would I get ahead A lot of times those membership fees aren't that expensive. But you'd want to know where your ideal client is. Like you want to go hang out with them. So if your ideal client goes to yoga class, you might be better off going to yoga studio to meet to meet a business owner who also shares a the same ideal client, because happy people are contagious. That happy clients are the most rewarding that we do, that we serve. And as a solopreneur, your motivation and effectiveness are tied to those wins on a daily basis, that rubbing shoulders with people who value what you value, or are striving to make the difference. And um, so I would say you could start there.
I think you brought up a really good point with sharing your target market. So and I know my individual business coaching clients and I have talked a lot about this. Just a really quick commercial. If you're listening to all this, you're like, oh, wait, I really want to dive into this a little bit more. Wise does offer free to you business coaching one-on-one. It's free because us business coaches are paid for by generous grants and donations. And it can be a one and done session or ongoing. It's whatever you guys need, but Wise is here for you. Carolyn will post in the chat box how to hook that up. But if we can define our target market clearly, and again, I love that your New Year's theme kind of this year is to keep communication simple. If you know the demographics, so age, education level, all those things that we attract, but if you can take it a step forward or step beyond that with, so where do they hide? Where are they working out? Do they work out? Where are they shopping? What are their habits? Are they family people? Are they typically single? Like really get into the nitty gritty. You can start getting really focused about this would be a good key collaborator because we share the same target market and we're not competing. I really like that.
Exactly. We just moved. I'm a transplant to Central New York. So, but before, when my kids were in high school, advertising in the school plays program got me business, because there were other people who cared about what I did, who, were sitting there cheering their kids on as well. So you'll find them in a multitude of places. And the more specific, like you said, the better you can speak to them. And, undoubtedly, the better you'll serve them. If you're going to you care about quality. We're out to make a difference, but we're out to deliver high quality products, services, and experiences as well. And so the more you can speak to the heart of your client, the better you are. I would caution, I have a couple of clients who have this idea that they only have one ideal client. And I would say there are probably a few different ideal clients, and I would create space to consider that. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. There's a big difference between ideal client and target market. One being broader,
exactly.
all-encompassing, and one being much more refined, specific. Very good catch with that. So we did have a question, and I feel like we answered it a bit.
Okay.
It leads us into our next one. Lisa on Facebook, how and where can I find connections related to my business or specialty? And so we talked about those organizations. WBOC is huge here in Syracuse as well. And if you can't afford, or you're not at the point where you're ready to jump in for a year membership, like you were saying, Andrea, you can be strategic with that and jump in one here and there with learning opportunities.
Right.
And then pay attention to who sticks out at you, who you just vibe with, whose energy you really like, and send them an email later on and say, hey, can we have a cup of coffee? But
definitely.
How do we look for those opportunities? And I know fear, we kind of talked into that, but a little bit more. Where do we find them?
So I don't know whose question it was and what industry they're in. But if we're looking for more in industry organizations, the internet, Google is a fine oracle to help us find that. I think knowing how to recognize the person who's going to be that win-win. And I think you, Lacey, you really hit it on the head about who are you going to work well with. You want to trust this person that they are going to take as good a care of your client as you have, that you're not, showering this person in love and providing them exactly the services they want and then handing them off if you have a referral partnership with someone who you don't trust, that would treat them the same way. So you definitely want to be able to have that connection. And I would recommend having that conversation, that coffee, follow up with people on LinkedIn and engage in conversations. I'm always surprised at what comes my way when I stay in connection with people. I'm pleasantly surprised. So I think cultivating that relationship and choosing, don't promise more than you want to deliver or can deliver. I think a lot of us, women especially, we are taught to people please and stand up for yourself, advocate for yourself. What could you do that you'd be comfortable with? Now, we talked about comfort zone. So I want to challenge, ask you to challenge yourself as well. Like, what could I do? What would make that impact? Where am I willing to invest my resources? But don't overpromise either. So, my background comes from project management, and we always would say under promise, over deliver. And it's a great business practice to really clearly communicate what you are definitely going to do, and then try and overpromise whenever you can, but don't put yourself on the hook for it, because that's an obligation that then you are going to have to serve. And as solopreneurs, small business owners, our reputation is everything. So guard it, take care of it, and cultivate it in a way that, like maybe it's just good to get in touch with people. I don't know. I like handicrafts too. So my favorite sort of events, for networking could be what other people might call a stitch and bitch. You get together and you can talk about what you're facing. Like, you don't have to go in knowing what you want to get out of it. You can say, this is what I'm wrestling with. Who else is wrestling with this? Have you faced this? How have you overcome it? And staying curious is really a way to give yourself some space from judging. You're discerning, you want to find those things that are going to help you and move you forward. But you can really learn in those open-ended conversations with people. It might not be clear what you could get out of it right away. But it might not be clear what you could give right away either. And I'd say stay in it and figure it out.
I love that. My most key, amazing, lucrative, and easiest collaborations did not actually come from networking events.
Yeah.
Those generally are a good way to just solidify who you already are. But I'm an introvert, and the idea of walking into a room with 100 business cards and trying to get rid of all of them and collect 25 of them myself, by the time I get home, I'm tired of saying my own name and I have no idea whose cards I'm holding in my hand because I can't remember anything. Those collaborations and finding them, on one hand, I want to say they don't fall in your lap, but they do. If you're out searching for them, like you said,
mm-hmm.
It's everywhere and anywhere. My ears are constantly open. So if I'm waiting in line at the coffee shop, I'm listening to who's around me. And I had some great conversations with owners, not even knowing they were the owner at the time, and
Right.
not being scared to jump in on a conversation or laugh loud enough so they know I'm hearing, and, oh, I'm sorry, I did the same thing. And I'm Lacey, and all of a sudden you're taken and you never know where you can find them. The trick to it is to aggressively pursue the opportunity and be open to it. But if we just sit back and wait for our phone to ring, you're gonna miss out on a lot. And I love that you wrap that up so succinctly and amazingly. It's funny how much that we're talking about fear. And I'm talking about it later. Full Bodied Health is doing a live. I'm interviewing someone about facing fear, but it truly is at the heart of putting ourselves out there and being vulnerable and being authentic. There's power in that, though.
Right. And to go off of what you were saying there, that, showing who you are and go after those opportunities. I think if we are, I'm not going to say aggressively, but I'll say assertively authentic. If you're willing to be you out in that coffee shop, you're willing to be you standing in line at the grocery store or wherever you are, that's when those right opportunities are going to come to you. That, sorry, I got caught reading.
Yep, you're good.
But it's about authentic leadership. Right now in the pandemic, we're around ourselves, and we might not be thinking about who am I impacting, who is seeing what I do and taking comfort from it, taking inspiration from it, and letting go of that fear and just being willing to be seen. That's the first step to being loved for who we are. And I think that's where the magic happens, when you make those connections. So
Joni brings up a good point. Okay, but these networking events and going to coffee shops aren't happening right now. How do I make fellow business owner friends? When I'm stuck at home, I followed some local people on Instagram, but there's no conversation happening. So this is where, Andrea, I'm so freaking happy that I'm paired with you, because we make a great team in the sense that I'm very, let's go, like, I'm one way, which is great for some people, but not everyone. Right. And you fill in that other side so well, where if someone needs to pump the brakes and really search through, man, so tackling this together, I think would be awesome. I have a couple ideas that I've instructed, but do you want to take it away first?
Oh, sure. So we're talking about, now it's not really practical because of the pandemic. I mean, right now we're in a great opportunity to, in this Wise Power Hour, we're in a great place to connect with people. And I will definitely put my contact information in the chat. And it can be as casual as that. The power of Zoom is amazing. So if you're following people on Instagram, you can engage in conversation with them as well. And again, I'm going to be willing to go first. Go first. Do something that you don't see them doing necessarily. But I'd love to hear your ideas too, Lacey.
Pretty similar. And again, it's the way I read that, and that mindset piece, when I'm stuck at home versus I get to be home, is so huge. And I'm that person though, where if something is frustrating, and the next question then is, so what can I control, and go get it. So follow people on Instagram, follow up with conversation. Instagram has a lot of anonymity between it. So it may take just a law of numbers. For every 10 people, you might get one. Maybe your numbers are tighter than that. Maybe they're looser than that. But you're on the right track, showing up to Zoom events, creating your own. If you're frustrated, someone else is frustrated too. And there's free ways to do it. So jump on Facebook and create a room and just announce it to the world and ask your friends to share it. Like, fellow business owners, I'm creating a space, a stitch and bitch, as Andrea had said. See, Carolyn, I can say it because our guest said it first.
Oh.
Always getting trouble starting on here.
All right. Accident.
Who wants to join me? And we're just going to have a glass of wine or a cup of coffee at this time and see what happens.
Right. And I want to say that there are ways also that you can offer to amplify what other people are doing, whether or not you've had a heart to heart and you've had a great connection. You can offer to like, comment, and share what you see people on Instagram doing, on LinkedIn. There are ways of we're a little, I don't want to say the victim of technology, but this ecosystem, the algorithm is part of our ecosystem now. And I'm not going to say I'm a media expert at all, but I have worked really hard in the last 18 months to fall in love with modern marketing techniques, to be able to connect with people. And there are ways of helping each other out, that don't involve, writing them a check if you close business that they've sent, or, there are elaborate ways that you can build partnerships with people if they've helped you get business or vice versa. But just while we're home and we have more access to social media, like if you know when somebody is going to post on LinkedIn, I have a friend who is also a coach. She coaches in a different sphere, but when she posts on LinkedIn, I always want to jump in on that and share it. And she's sort of in the same industry as me. I think when I've been able to do it with other entrepreneurs who are in a different industry, it's nice because you're starting to expand your network as well. When I talk to a landscaper, right, I'm like, I love what this landscaper is doing. I have a garden, so that's good, but those aren't my same clients.
Right.
Or, I wouldn't have talked to those people otherwise. And so it's one of the things that we can do is to think about ourselves in that ecosystem. As a consumer, how frequently do you choose to support other small businesses? When do you get in your car and go to the big box store versus a small clothing store in town? And those are choices that you can start to impact, like who you're running into as well. And we talked about, having those accidental conversations with owners, but it's never going to happen at Target. And I love Target. I prefer to call it Target because it's so fancy. But I think that when you start to walk the talk as a small business owner and entrepreneur, you can empower yourself and trust that one little step is enough. Like, don't put too many expectations on yourself. It's going to kill the possibility. An expectation unmet creates bitterness and despair, and a possibility unmet is just not yet. It just hasn't happened yet. Keep going. And that's where success is going to lie, because if you haven't gotten it yet, it's still out there for you. So
yeah, I received a direct message as well about getting creative and thinking outside the box as far as getting key collaborations and partnerships. Our topic for today, solidified. WBOC, Chamber of Commerce's, Baldwinsville, Liverpool, I think maybe Syracuse, but I'm not 100% sure. Please don't quote me on that. They are all doing virtual networking events still. Wise Power Hour, we're here, but also the Wise programs and workshops are a great place to meet fellow entrepreneurs in various stages. And again, thinking outside of the traditional networking events, meeting people through education and continuing education also is a great way to meet people at all stages of business. It's not just coming up with an idea and so we're starting at the beginning. It's people looking to pivot who've been in business for much longer, who can still be great partners and collaborators.
right. And I'd go back to those networking events. I think your success is going to definitely be driven by your mindset when you go in. If you go in thinking I have 100 business cards and I need to give them all away and I need to get 25, you have totally shifted into your task oriented. And that's a great motivator that gets us out the door. Sure. But what are the chances that those 100 people who took your business cards were thinking about you when you did that?
Mm-hmm.
Or were they thinking the same thing? Good, 99, 98, phew, I'm moving down. And we have that perspective of, it's all about me when we are worried about something. And so if you go to a networking event, those metrics can be good, but I'd recommend one solid conversation with someone, and everybody you meet is going to be valuable because they're either going to be a client, know somebody who could be a client and tell other people about you, or you've identified somebody who's not a client, right, and who would not speak for you, and there's great information right there. You have learned, next time I can kind of sort them a little sooner and build a relationship. But I like to think about things in formulas. So that might be, I love people. And for all the people oriented people who want that relationship, um, talk to one person. Don't set the number so high. I mean, that's intimidating. That will make you not want to go. And and I don't know. I think there are ways to just create one relationship at a time that you can cater to what you're comfortable doing.
Absolutely.
So,
Being intentional is huge. We had a question in the chat box.
okay.
Carolyn, this may be a question that you can answer with a couple links. I'm searching for data information about the industry I wish to start a business in. Are there resources I might use to find the data I need to develop a business plan? Is it ethical to ask existing similar businesses in this geographic region? Absolutely. Tap into whomever you can get your hands on and ask questions. Again, key collaborators. Life coaches can work with life coaches. A nutrition coach, I have other nutrition coaches that I go to, and we talk things out, we hash things out. And technically we're in the same industry, so someone could look at it and say, oh, but you're in competition with each other. Our target markets are completely different.
Mhm.
Or if they're the same, our approach is very different. So when someone comes to me or my partner, my collaborator, and definitely would love to work with you, I don't think it's going to be a great personality fit. I think I'm going to torture you on accidents. Your personality may fit me much better with this person. I'd love to introduce you and hand you over.
Right.
So as long as you're not asking for trade secrets or tell me how you have this technology that no one else has that's patented, as long as you're not going that crazy in detail, absolutely talk to existing similar businesses. We all want to boost everyone up. As far as resources, one-on-one business coaching can be a huge asset. The SBA can do a lot of research for you, and WISE has foundational courses for starting a business and how to tackle all of that. We also had from Facebook, and then we'll wrap it up with this one. I've created videos on Facebook, but I'm not getting any views. I feel like there's so many ads. Just another video gets old. What about LinkedIn, job boards, or Craigslist for looking for clients? So again, we can tackle that. I know the next power hour, I think they're talking about marketing, but I would love to get your take on that, Andrea, if you don't mind a quick shift.
Sure. Sure. So I am a newbie in this space of Facebook, um, as well. So I don't want to overextend my expertise on this. There are a lot of ads on Facebook, and we are competing. It's not a free market, and the algorithm is not going to show your video to everybody who knows you. So having a Facebook group will let your people see what you are sharing. and inviting your friends and inviting your friends to invite their friends to it. If it's something they care about to join in, you'll hit that target market better. I would say I'd also put your videos in other places that people can find them as well. I think LinkedIn is really good if you are offering, you represent yourself out there, regardless of what industry you're in. You're going to find other business owners there. So if you're a B2B service provider, that is a great place to be. Business to consumer, if you're looking to go direct to your consumer, LinkedIn might not cultivate the opportunities you're looking for. It's a good place to establish your expertise, your credibility. You know, this is what I think about my thought leadership. But looking for clients, I think is going to come from patience and figuring out honing what works. And there are a bunch of people out there, and it sounds like the Power Hour is going to focus on marketing. And I think they'd be in a better place to tell you how to write copy that hooks people in and how to be yourself and trust that the more they get to know you, the more they'll find you.
I think it's also a great way, like you said, those Facebook groups. That's a great way to think outside the box, to tag in and invite in those key collaborators who can feed you clients. Other people in your industry that aren't taking the same approach.
Mm-hmm.
If you're more detail oriented or you're offering a value that they don't offer, let them know and introduce yourself and say, hey, I know we're both doing this. I know you don't have the time to do this add-in service. That's one of my core things. So if someone comes across your way, send them over here, put them into your Facebook group just so you can stay up to date. That was a great idea. And to circle back in, I'm always leery of Craigslist, but LinkedIn and promoting yourself out there, it takes that investment of time of yourself and your service, especially on social media. Back in the day of picking up with a phone call, it was maybe 5 to 8 contacts and they would buy. And then we went to email marketing or letter marketing, and it was boosted up to 10 to 12 contacts, and then they would buy. In social media, that number is up to 18 to 20 last time I looked, which was, I believe, May of 2020. They need to see who you are 18 to 20 times before they're like, heck yeah, I'll buy that. And I know it's true of myself. How many times do I see a Facebook ad? And the first time I'm like, that's garbage. The second time I'm kind of like, okay, maybe it's garbage. Third time's like,
maybe.
I hit it 15 times and I'm like, okay, I have to have this. So with
Right.
social media, especially, it's an investment of time and energy for a quicker influx of clients. Like Andrea has been talking about, I think those strategic alliances or key partnerships or those collaborators, as Andrea had said earlier, if you can clearly communicate what you do, how you do it, and why you do it, they can refer to you who you want to work with. Andrea, like, I love that you had said it so clearly and simply. Tell them what you do, how you do it, and why you do it. They'll just feed it to you because they know what to give.
Right. You're making it easy for their brain to understand and to be a trusted referral partner. They'll amplify your impact for you and share you out there just like you can share them out there.
So, holy cow, I wish I'd fastened my seatbelt before this ride. This was an amazing time with you, Andrea. I greatly appreciate you. Real quick, if people want to find you, how do they go about and do that?
They could go to my website, which is Thrive, THRIVE, the number 4 and the letter C.com. A search for my company, Thrive with 4C.com, Thrive with 4C will find me too. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, and I'm loving the community. You'll see me on Mondays on Instagram. I like to share a mug shot because I'm tired of working at home by myself. So I have my cup of hot whatever delicious beverage I'm drinking for the day, and a picture of me, because I miss coworkers, and I'm like all of you. It's a different world these days. So my phone number's on the number, and I'm happy to have a free consultation with anybody for if you're interested. And I have a newsletter that goes out on Thursdays, so that would be lovely to have more people.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us. And again,
Thank you for
are
having me.
interested, on one-on-one business coaching through Wise.
Yeah.
The link was in the chat box. Karen put it up on Facebook. And Wise is here for you, so you're never alone, even though it feels like it, on an entrepreneurial journey. Whether it's through our key programs, our workshops, or our business coaching, we've got you covered, that's for sure. So I wish you ladies an amazing day, and we'll talk to y'all later.
Bye. Thanks.